Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I want to tell you a story. It's a family story, so I hope you can handle it. Why do I say that? Because when you let people into family stories, there's typically a great deal of judgment about what they would do or how they did their family. I understand, but this is one of my family stories. I have a unique family. My children are all adopted, and some are related and some were not. Um, they came three all at once, and then the other two, and then there were more who lived with us as they went through undergrad or what have you. So it's a motley crew. I raised my children um, different from the typical American kind of family, um, and different in many ways. Some of it because of who I am, and some of it because of what I know. But it was different than most of their friends. And this family story is one that whenever my kids are together, they kind of share. It's one of those stories that they retell. And it was when Fatima got to stay with a close family friend. Now, they didn't have many sleepovers and they didn't stay with other people, and that just was not something we did. And this friend was a friend who we would travel together, and she would sometimes take the kids on trips or take them to different events if I was out of town. And we had friends we'd do an exchange with, like maybe I could afford for them to go, but they couldn't afford to go and I wasn't in town, or maybe I couldn't afford and they could afford. So we traded and shared um, our resources. So it wasn't just money, it was also time, and it was love, and it was food, and it was all these things. So anyway, Fatima goes and visits this friend, and she calls the next morning and she says, "Mom, we went to this special place." And I said, "Where did you go?" And she said, "It was called the mall." Now, Fatima was 7 years old, and none of my kids, we had not gone to the mall. It was just not a thing that we did. There were other things to do, and the mall wasn't one of them. I'm not judging you, don't judge me. Anyway, she said, "We had this special meat." And I said, "Really? For breakfast?" We just had this special meat. Now, I'm a vegetarian and my children are not vegetarian, but they grew up mostly vegetarian, and we would have meat substitutes and things like that. So, and they didn't have candy until my mother moved in. And prior to that, I told them grapes were candy. Anyway, I'm not judging you, don't judge me. Anyway, um, so I said, "What was the name of the special meat?" And so she calls her friend and says, "What's the name of that meat?" And she's like, "What are you talking about? The special meat." And her friend says, "Sausage?" She had not had sausage. So she comes home, and my friend, the mom, says, "You really have got to take your kids a few more places." So what happened? And she said, "We go to the mall, and my child wants to see Santa Claus, so I'm taking Fatima to see Santa Claus." Fatima was not to be swayed to get up to see this man and sit on his lap. She said, "I'm not sitting on the lap of a stranger. He's a stranger." And so they were like, "That's Santa Claus." And she said, "That's not the real Santa Claus. The Santa Claus is in the North Pole until Christmas." So they convinced her to go there. She goes. And so she's holding up the line because they're asking her, "What do you want for Christmas?" And she's just kind of sitting there. And they're like, "You can say anything. What do you want?" And my friend said, she kept telling her, "You can say anything you want. What do you want for Christmas?" And Fatima's just sitting and thinking and thinking. And finally she says, "Shampoo." And they said, "Why did you ask for shampoo?" And she said, "We're out." I'm not judging you. Don't judge me. So my friend was like, "You really, really have to expose them to a little bit more." And I said, "No, I don't. Um, you know, this is, we we find joy in a lot of things. And at the time we were living in San Diego, and we lived next to a nature preserve, and so we went hiking quite a bit, and we would go to the mountains to go sledding, and then come down and go to the beach, and there were so many beautiful things that we could experience. We went to all of the museums on the free days and sometimes on the not so free days. Every free event was always listed in the newspaper, and we went to absolutely all of them at some point. They had capoeira classes and art classes and therapy, and we just did so many wonderful things, wonderful, wonderful things. And, you know, spending the day at the mall wasn't one of them, wasn't going to be one of them. And I remember my friend when I said to her, these are the things that we do, and you've participated in them. And I don't judge your experiences, so you don't get to judge mine. She said, I get it. And maybe if I wasn't going to the mall so much, it was her granddaughter wouldn't always be asking for so many things. And I said, no, it's probably, she sees all the commercials. And she said, and that's another thing. Fatima doesn't get to watch TV. It's not that she doesn't get to watch television. We only watch it on the weekends. Anyway, as you get closer to people, you get to hear some of the quirky, interesting, fascinating aspects of their life. They're not necessarily the things that they do all the time, or that people who look like them, worship like them, vote like them, pray like them, sing like them do. We all have our own unique, beautiful ways of being. So if a child asks you what this special meat is, you don't have to judge them. Just love them a little more and know that every house has its own little quirks. I love you.